Hey up me duck YouTube, my hair is an absolute mess. I hope you are all having a very good Tuesday evening. It was lovely and sunny today in the UK, which I don't know if you're a resident of, you may not be, but I personally am. Today, on the occasional Tuesday, we'll be looking at all the Europa League and Cup Winners' Cup is included in it as well. Winners and where they are this very moment. I'd like to shout out Barry White for coming up with this idea about European football. We do this whenever I feel like it, to be fair. It's called Occasional Tuesday, and I'd love to see what you want me to make a video about to get my words out. So leave that in the comment section down below. I will be much obliged to make one. So we're starting off in Italy, in particular in Florence with Fiorentina. They're currently 14th in Serie A. Having last week lost to AC Milan 3-2, they are on very dodgy times, being only 7 points clear of a relegation zone. I would almost guarantee, though, that they will stay up eventually. Like, it may come down for a while, but definitely stay up. They have a winnable game against Genoa, and it could certainly start a late run to survival as well. So I think Fiorentina is safe. Tottenham Hotspur on the other end of the table in the Premier League, they are 6th. Though classed as a Big Six club, which is where they are positioned right now, and we're probably seeing it as a bit of an opportunity missed this season. They have Jose Mourinho as manager. Probably were looking for a more Champions League run. They've had mixed results. They beat Aston Villa 2-0 last week, but they were also eliminated from the Europa League in the round of 16 against Dinamo Zagreb, which they lost 3-2 on aggregate, despite being in the lead in the first leg 2-0. They also lost the Northern London derby to Arsenal, although if they beat Manchester City, which is an insane thing to actually do if they do, they could win the EFL Cup, and I think most Spurs fans would then be content with the season as it is. I think any fan would be happy with a piece of silverware. Sporting Club de Portugal, they are first in the Primeira Liga. They are currently 10 points clear, actually, at the top of the table after beating Vitória 1-0 last week. They have some very winnable games coming up as well versus 8th place Moreirense and 14th place Famalicão. They last won the league 20 years ago, unbelievably. So this is a huge achievement for them and shows the great progression they have made as a club. I mean, look at some of the former stars. Bruno Fernandes instantly springs to mind, and he's banging them in for Manchester United at the moment, and a very good side. West Ham United, they're 5th in Premier League, and if I made this video last year, it would have been a very different picture. Of them battling relegation, and Moyes has amazingly actually turned it around and are now challenging for the Champions League. Last week, they drew 3-3 against London rivals Arsenal. They have a tough run-in, though, to be fair, coming to the end of the season, against the likes of Leicester City, Chelsea and Everton to play before the end of the season. I think they will finish in the Europa League places, probably. But it's a huge achievement considering how mediocre they've been for the last few seasons, ending mid-table to relegation for. Slovan Bratislava are first in the Slovak Superliga. And I didn't believe I was actually going to be saying a Slovakian team. But the Slovakian league is incredibly complicated, as I've found out doing this research. They have been placed in the playoff category as opposed to the relegation category. And what they do now is to play those who are in the top half of the table when the season was at the end. They're currently first in that category after beating Trenčín 6-2 and drawing 2-2 with Zelina. They finished 3rd in the main league by 10 points, so you would fully expect them to win the playoffs and actually become the overall champions. Manchester City, I'm amazed that I haven't actually mentioned them in the previous video. By the way, I will not be repeating the clubs who have won the Champions League. They are first in the Premier League, and they're absolutely killing it this season. They're 14 points clear over Manchester rivals Manchester United, for goodness sake. The last league game seems ages ago as well. It was on the 13th of March against Fulham, where they won 3-0. They've also progressed to the quarterfinals of the Champions League by beating Borussia Mönchengladbach 4-2 on aggregate. They are also in the semi-finals of the FA Cup after beating Everton 2-0 last week. They are in the EFL Cup final as well after they tied with Manchester United 2-0. They have got a fairly decent chance of winning it. They are up against Spurs, as we just heard. They're not the greatest team right now. The final will be in April, so that's one to tune in. Rangers, they're first in the Scottish Premier League. They drew the Old Firm derby at 1-1, and Steven Gerrard's Rangers have done an insane win in the league, quite frankly. To end Celtic's 9-title streak is just unbelievable. I know Celtic haven't been the greatest of late, but it's still a massive achievement, so congratulations to all Rangers fans. They were knocked out of the Europa League, though, in the round of 16 against Slavia Prague, 3-1 in aggregate. They also do have a chance of winning the Scottish Cup, although pretty much all Scottish teams didn't have a chance at the moment, seeming they're only in the round 3 of the competition. Now, this team I'd never heard of, to be fair, and they're called Magdeburg. They're currently 17th in the Freiliga. I do not know how you say that in German. I never did German school. But that is the third tier of German football. And they're a club which has fallen on hard times recently and has ended up in Germany's third tier and are currently on 31 points. Although are on a decent run, they've not lost in 4 games with 3 wins and 1 draw. Last week they actually beat Kaiserslautern 1-0 and Bayern Munich's reserves 2-0. So probably going to stay up, but not the greatest team as they once were, to be fair. I think they are an Eastern German team. That's why. Dinamo Kiev, they're first in the Ukrainian Premier League. Currently 7 points clear at the top of the league. It looks like they're destined to win the league. But the last time I actually achieved that feat, it was back in the 2015-16 season. They beat Bucuresti 3-0 on the weekend, and they have, however, been knocked out of the Europa League round of 16 after losing 4-0 in aggregate to Villarreal. Anderlecht, they're currently 5th in the Belgian Pro League, with a legend of Vincent Kompany as manager. They aren't doing the greatest, to be fair, all things considering. They are meant to be part of the big 3 of the Belgian league. And on Friday, they actually lost 2-1 to Kortrijk. I think that's how you pronounce it. And they've been knocked out of the Belgian Cup in the semi-finals to a decent Genk side, to be fair, but it's a Genk side nonetheless. Valencia, they are 12th in the La Liga, and all things considering, I believe they should be a bit higher than 12th, being only 10 points clear of relegation at the moment. They're not going to be relegated, it's just the facts. Well, the current form is mixed, to be fair. They have had losses to Getafe and Levante, but they have wins against Villarreal and Granada. It is probably a season for them to forget for the fans, and hopefully maybe push on to try and get to Europa League maybe next season. Outside chance. Dinamo Tblisi, they're third in the Euro-Vanuli. I do not want to see the amount of difficult pronunciations. From what I hear, this is meant to be the club that all Georgian players want to play for, and I knew it's begun, but third place is a bit iffy, to be honest. Despite this, they have only lost 1 game, so it's probably too early to judge. It was like Kincladiers or something like that, who was a Georgian player who played for Derby during the 90s and early 90s. And he came from Dinamo Tbilisi, and that's all I pretty much know about the club. Aberdeen are currently 4th in the Scottish Premier League. They're certainly capable of living up to the name of 3rd of the Big 2 title, which I have personally assigned them, and I don't know how many people actually believe that. It is a steep mountain to climb. They've got 7 points and clear. We need 7 points to get to the third place, and they've only got 5 games to achieve this. It seems extremely unrealistic, to be fair. They have to face both Rangers and Celtic in that run. They're still in the Scottish Cup, though, and could go on a good run. But last week, they did lose 1-0 to Dundee United, so not the greatest at the moment. Everton, 8th in the Premier League. I honestly thought this season they would shake off the bugbear of being a mid-table side. But they've tapered off a bit and would be lucky to get Europa League, to be fair. But I think they have a chance. They were knocked out of the FA Cup, though, having lost 2-0 to Manchester City. And Burnley and Chelsea both beat them by 2 goals. So it's hard to kind of see where they go from here, though Carlo Ancelotti can pull something ridiculous out of a hat and manage to get 7th and get into that new Conference League of Europe. Mechelen, they're 10th in the Belgian Pro League. I was surprised to see this club on my list, but they are here. So here we go. On a bit of a dodgy run. They have 2 draws and a loss in the league, leaving them 1 point off of the Europa League playoffs. They were knocked out of the Belgian Cup as well, 4-1 to Genk, who seems to be knocking everybody out of that cup competition at the moment. And to be fair, before I researched this club, I hadn't actually ever heard of them. I've got to put my hands up there. Sampdoria are currently 10th in Serie A. Another case of mixed results, I'm afraid, with 2 draws against Genoa and Cagliari, a win against Torino, and a loss versus Bologna. I don't see much aspiration to go anywhere, this club at the moment. They're a bit of a typical mid-table side, to be fair. So, prove me wrong, Sampdoria. If I look next season and you're first, unbelievable. But I cannot see anywhere where they're going. Werder Bremen, they're currently 12th in the Bundesliga. Again, another mid-table side. It's getting a bit boring at this point. They've had mixed fortunes as well recently, having lost against Wolfsburg and they've drawn with Cologne and a win against Arminia. They are, however, DFB quarter-finalists and could get to the semi-finals with a relatively easy fixture versus Jan Regensburg, who are a mid-table side in the second Bundesliga. So they could get some silverware if they have a good run in that competition. Parma, they are 19th in Serie A. I mean, survival is the ultimate aim come the end of the season, no matter what, for most fans. And it does seem that it could be achievable. They have won against Roma and drew with Fiorentina. And they are only 4 points now off survival. And have a relatively easy run-in, to be fair, against around about the same place in the table: Benevento, Torino, and Cagliari, and Crotone. I'm sorry for my Italian accent, but I just can't do it. Arsenal, they're currently 9th in the Premier League, on a very good run in the Premier League, and it means they have an outside shout to the Europa League. Having drawn with West Ham and Burnley, and also won versus Tottenham and Leicester, I think it could be achievable. I mean, I wouldn't have said that at the beginning of the season. They looked destined for a relegation scrap, but all things said. I know all the hate's going to come in the chat. There's plenty of Arsenal fans subscribed, I know. But even you were saying at the beginning of the season that you weren't doing so well. So, well done. They're now in the quarterfinals after winning 3-2 on aggregate against Olympiacos of the Europa League as well. So, well done, Arsenal. Real Zaragoza, they're 16th in the Segunda division. Some severe dips since they won the competition, let's face it, and I think we can all agree. They've done all right in the league despite the bad start. They've now had wins versus Tenerife and Mirandes, and they've drawn with Logrones. Although apparently, according to a 2007 survey, they are actually the 7th most supported team in Spain. Although it seems it's 2007, it might have changed a bit since then. But incredible fan base. So definitely shouldn't be that low in the Segunda division. PSG, also another team I did not expect to be on this list. They're first in Ligue 1. Last week, they beat Lyon 4-2. I think this just shows how dominated the French league is. And I'm going to say it is a farmers' league. Although that they have got some good teams. The competitive for title is not that good. And now in the quarterfinals as well, the Coup de France, after beating Lille 3-0. Also in the quarterfinals of the Champions League, though, which is a competition which really matters for the French people, after they beat Barcelona 5-2 on aggregate. Unbelievable. When I saw that result, it's just the same result. I mean, I think it says more about the problems going on in Barcelona, about how good PSG are. They did actually suffer a shock loss against Nantes on the 14th of March, so they can't win them all. Lazio, they are 7th in Serie A. I'd argue that the fans probably think they're underachieving this season, and I would actually disagree with a lot of them because there's a lot of good teams above them, and they just happen to be the worst of the best. I think there's like 10 points or something separating the 7th from 8th, and so it's sort of really tight at the top. Last week they beat Udinese 1-0 and Crotone 3-2 the week before. They have been dispatched handsomely out of the Champions League, 6-2 on aggregate against Bayern Munich, but that's not much of an embarrassment, to be fair, seeing how good Bayern Munich are. They just seem the unstoppable force of not just German football, but European football. Borussia Mönchengladbach, they're 10th in Bundesliga. A season with mixed fortunes is what sums up this season for Mönchengladbach. They beat Schalke 3-0. They're diabolical at the moment, but they did lose to Augsburg 3-1 and Bayer Leverkusen 1-0. So, not really. I think Borussia Mönchengladbach would probably need to be a bit higher for the fans' tastes. They did actually also reach the round of 16 in the Champions League, eventually being knocked out 4-0 on aggregate to Manchester City. Eintracht Frankfurt, they're 4th in the Bundesliga. I think this is an absolutely amazing season, considering where they were over the last few seasons, of only upper mid, around about 7th. At the moment, it's hard to see if they're going to stay in that position, though, with only 1 win in the last 4 games. But it was the most recent game against Union Berlin, which they did win. And they also did beat Bayern Munich, unthinkable, 2-1. So, yes, there's a chance they're going to retain that top 4 finish. I think that's how many is needed for the Champions League in Germany. But if not, I think they'll be satisfied. Ipswich Town, 11th in League One at the moment. This club has gone much downhill since winning this competition and has ended in England's 3rd tier, with the fact that they are unlikely to reach even the playoffs come the end of the season, having drawn with relegation battlers Wigan Athletic and lost against Portsmouth and Fleetwood Town. The last win actually came all the way back on the 13th of March against Plymouth Argyle. It does look dire for the East Anglian side at the moment. I do believe you need to stop chopping and changing managers so frequently. That might solve the issue. Bit of consistency, build from scratch, and then sort of progress from there. I think that's the approach Sunderland seem to be taking at the moment. IFK Goteborg, or I don't know how you pronounce that, Goteborg. Definitely not that at all. They're 12th in the Allsvenskan. This is where they finished last season, to be fair, due to this year's season not starting yet, as the last one only finished a matter of weeks ago. But, they also didn't press beyond the group stage of the Svenska Cup, I would say. It's hard to see where the ambition is coming the end of this season. Another really mid-table side. Yeah. I don't know much about the Swedish league. I apologise. Bayer Leverkusen, or Bayer Leverkusen, something like that. They're 6th in Bundesliga, and they're doing decent this season, but I've only won 1 game in the last 6. Though it was against Borussia Mönchengladbach, who are not a small team to be laughed at. What even more of a shock, though, is that they actually lost 6-3 on aggregate against the young boys of Switzerland. So I do feel like they're missing Kai Havertz a bit. I'm pretty certain it's Kai Havertz who can buy it. I think they're missing him. I may have got my facts wrong. Please correct me in the comment section if I have. Napoli, they're 5th in Serie A, having gone unbeaten in 5 games with 4 wins and 1 draw, including the win against Benevento, in which they had 10 men, although it was in the last minute of the game, which Koulibaly got sent off. They still managed to win 2-0, so managed to keep a clean sheet. They got knocked out for round of 32 of the Europa League against Granada. Schalke 04, 18th in the Bundesliga. Having not won a game, this is the most insane thing. They've not won a game since the 9th of January. It boggles me. But this club has been made an embarrassment. And I would highly suggest that you go and watch a video called What on Earth is Going On at Schalke 04, a video made by HITC Sport. I think that was the channel. It might be HIT7's. Not the Irish guy one, the other one. But it's certainly, they are the 3rd most cup team in Germany, may I please hasten to add, before you think, oh, these are normal relegations. No, they're the 3rd most cup team in Germany, joint with Bayer Leverkusen. So it's all going south for them right now, and they're actually in serious danger of insolvency after their German sausage owner sold the club for basically, it was something to do with COVID procedures, as everything is nowadays. Galatasaray, they are 2nd in the Super League. Having mixed results, they lost to Rizespor and Ankaragucu. They have drawn against Sivasspor and they've won against Kayserispor. They also didn't even qualify for the Europa League though this season and knocked out the Turkish Cup after losing in quarterfinals 3-2 against Alanyaspor. I don't think Galatasaray fans are going to be super happy at the moment. Chances of winning the title are very slim. Chances of winning a cup have gone out the window this season. It's all not very good, but 2nd is decent. I mean, I think it's Istanbul Besiktas here who are currently 1st, and they've got loads of big players, so I'm not surprised. CSKA Moscow, they are in 5th in the Russian Premier League, with having very mixed results in the last 5 games in the league. They won against Akhmat Grozny, Lokomotiv Moscow, who were their rivals, and Murcia. And they lost against Zenit St. Petersburg and Arsenal Tula. They are in the quarterfinals of the Russian Cup, though, after having beat SKA Karabarovsk, or Khabarovsk. I don't know how you pronounce that. I don't speak Russian. 2-0. They couldn't progress past the Europa League group stage, though. And they are doing average for this team, with only goal difference putting them in touching distance from 3rd place. I think it's goal difference, and I couldn't really make out the table. It seemed like they had better goal difference, but we're still in 5th. Sevilla, they are 4th in La Liga. Mixed fortunes of late, but overall they are doing very well in the league, with 10 points clear of 5th place and 5 points off Real Madrid in 3rd. It's gonna be pretty much a 4th place finish, isn't it? Have been knocked out the Europa League after a 5-4 very tense games. They were aggregate loss to Borussia Dortmund, and they were knocked out of the Copa del Rey despite having a 2-goal lead on the first leg and lost the second leg 3-0 to Barcelona. Oh, well, that seems very familiar. I swear we've mentioned something that's happened. Oh, Spurs. What's happened? It's very similar to what happened there, and they did the same to Sevilla. Did the same to Barcelona and got knocked out the semi-final stage. Would have been a massive shock if they did actually manage to get through and take part in the finals. To be fair, maybe even win the competition. Who knows? Zenit St. Petersburg, they are 1st in the Russian Premier League. After a bit of a wobble, they are now back to winning ways and winning back-to-back games against Akhmat Grozny and CSKA Moscow. They are 4 points clear at the top with 7 games left. It looks like they will win the league. If for another season. They won it last season as well. They lost a shock 2-1 in the Russian Cup round of 16 though against Arsenal Tula. I say that's a shock. It may not be, but it seems to me that it is. That the team top of the league have been knocked out. Shakhtar Donetsk are second in the Ukrainian Premier League, and considering the Ukrainian league has only 2 really good teams, I don't mean that to put any of the other Ukrainian teams down, but it's just fact. I think not many Donetsk fans would be that disappointed. Although last week they did lose 3-2 to Lviv. They were knocked out of the Europa League at the round of 16, losing 5-1. That's shocking on aggregate against Roma. Atletico Madrid, absolutely unbelievable. The final club on this list, by the way. And they are first in La Liga. Last week, they beat Alaves 1-0. They also drew 1-1 in the El Derby Madrileno, or the Madrid Derby in English. They are unbeaten, though, in 5 games in the league, with 4 points clear at the top. It could maybe be their first La Liga title, to be fair, since the 2013-14 season. Which, I mean, that seems such a long time ago, and I wasn't really interested in La Liga at that point. They were knocked out of the Champions League round of 16, having lost 3-0 on aggregate to Chelsea. But thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe for a regular footballing content. We do everything on this channel. I think I can pretty much be confident to say. Just leave your comments down below and I will make a video about it. On Thursday, I will be doing the history of Brentford Football Club, and then I'll be doing the Oceana. So that's just where we're at on the channel at the moment. So goodbye for now.